You've entered the Alchemist Archive, where inner work meets outer impact, and the creators who are shaping what's next. Hello, everyone. Matt Brower here. Today's guest is the founder of Boundless Living Academy, an emerging AI powered transformational well being platform, transforming how purpose driven, conscious leaders access clarity, performance, and fulfillment to build regenerative legacy. I love how you articulated that. I literally just stole it verbatim off of something that I came across here. And it's just such a beautiful articulation of what you're up to in the world. So thank you, Annabel Wilson, for being on the show. And I'm excited for this conversation.
Me too. Thank you, Matt, for that warm intro and welcome. And I look forward to taking a deep dive with you today.
Yeah. So I wanted to jump in with we've talked a little bit about obviously Boundless Living Academy, and it sounds like you may be getting a bit more clarity on on another offering or like honing in us also as part of that, just boundless living in general. Do you want to dive into kind of the what you're up to and the differentiation of the two?
Sure, I'd love to. I think where it makes sense maybe to start, just to give a little context, is what I'm doing now, which is really guiding leaders and their teams to their highest capability, vision, and impact through elevating their consciousness and enabling them to achieve sovereignty over their mind, emotions, and their energy. So we have end-to-end solutions for that, which is when we have our diagnostic suite and our Compass diagnostic and root causes diagnostic, which really enables people to understand what is driving, what are the core needs that are driving 95% of my beliefs and behaviors. This lives usually in the subconscious, so most of us are not aware of these patterns. So once we have this awareness, we have the capacity to take proactive and positive ownership and accountability and responsibility over our lives. The root causes diagnostic really enables us to identify what are the possible root causes behind sources of conflict, anywhere where our lives are out of alignment with our highest capability, with our highest soul purpose, with our highest vision and capacity for living and joy and fulfillment and all the juicy and good things that we would like in our lives. So that's
All the
when
time. Yeah.
that where well, since we're in these human bodies, we're just more it enables us to also be more in flow as and when things come up. So when you look at things that many of us are finding challenging or working through or navigating our way, whether we're in a time of life, significant life transition or inner transition, doesn't mean our lives need to be upside down for us to start doing this work. But we might have achieved everything that we thought we were meant to achieve and followed the playbook for traditional success. Yet we might feel disconnected. We might have conflict in our closest relationships. We might not know how to bridge those gaps. And we might feel isolation, loneliness, or really deep lacking in fulfillment. So,
In
something
some
this is
area.
when
Yeah,
in some area of our
yeah,
life.
the
Mhm.
way the way I articulate that or word that is like there's an imbalance somewhere. Like you might have abundance in one area, but there's an imbalance because what all that there is abundance in every area of life. So if somebody's experiencing an abundance in one or two areas, but a lack in another one or two areas, that's what you're talking about. That's where you go in and figure out what the block is, and it's living in the subconscious mind,
Yes.
and you help people
Yes.
do that. Got it.
Yes, and instead of traditional programs where it can feel a little bit like shooting in the dark or situational and reactive to as and when things happen in people's lives, because we always start with the diagnostics for everyone, we really establish a baseline. So it's a little bit science meets soul because I'll go into our methodology in a minute. So we have a baseline of where to start. So it's a carefully guided way, but also that leaves room for a lot of flexibility as well. And then we have our group for teams programs as well as our one-on-one boundless leadership programs as well, where this is just to give a little more context of how I even arrived here in the first place. This is the result of 19 years of seeking, really trying to understand what's driving the patterns in my life because I really understood that there were a lot of unhealthy patterns at play there that were so deep in my subconscious. I didn't even have the language when I first started. So I really gathered and was fortunate enough to gather an advisory board of neuroscientists,
Mm,
clinical psychiatrists, psychotherapists, and somatic experts. And I created our own methodology, which really combines cognitive, emotional, and energetic understanding and processing. So
mm,
we literally go and we work somatically. We're pulling out the root cause from people's systems, where it's
yeah.
stored in the body, where it's stored in the mind, where it's stored in our emotions. We're going in and meeting the core need that wasn't met at that point of trauma, whether it's little t trauma or big T trauma. And then we're recalibrating the entire system. We're bringing in nervous system. So it's everything from nervous system and emotional regulation all the way to repatterning, releasing old wounds, and bringing in and recalibrating new beliefs, new habits. And then we close the loop by identifying actions and systems that people can integrate into their lives and identifying, well, what is in alignment, what is meaningful and authentic to who I am today. So
Mm,
that's where we are with Boundless Living Academy. So it's diagnostics, group and one-on-one programs. And then we also have our first inaugural Living Legacy Summit. This is for conscious business leaders, visionary founders, impact investors, legacy stewards. So people who really want to harness the inner work that you and I do, Matt, and bring
yeah.
that into amplifying what positive change and impact they would like to create, not just
So,
within themselves, their families, but also the world, in their
yeah.
businesses, in their communities, in their lives. Sorry,
So
go ahead.
when is this happening? Where is it happening? And how can people get information about it?
Well, thanks for asking. It's happening from August 2nd to 9th next year,
Uh,
2026, in the north of England on this incredible 2,500-acre estate that's ancestral estate. It's incredible magical setting. It's been in the same family under the same custodial family for the last 32 generations. They're in the
mm,
process, they're rewilding the land. It's incredible. So for this concept of humanity, harmony, creating harmony within humanity and nature and within ourselves, as within, so without, and the perfect
uh,
setting for that. It's a very high integrity program. It's also, and why we decided to create this is because I've been journeying for over 19 years, largely in peer groups or on my own with the most incredible teachers and guides as well, clinical, non-clinical, across all the different methodologies and modalities. And I really
just when
want
you
this
say really
beautiful,
quick,
yeah,
sorry to
please.
cut you off. When you say
Mm-mm.
journeying, what do you mean by that? Like, because journeying could mean a lot of different things for different people. Medicine journeying, or just inner work. Or what's your definition of that?
To me, it's all
Yeah.
different variations of inner work and medicine because whatever medicine we need, whatever we are, whatever wherever we seek and we find. I'm a big believer in when the student is ready, the guide appears or the
Yeah.
teaching appears. So
Totally.
as we stay open, as we stay very clear, as we step very much into our clarity of this is what my intention is. This is what I'm seeking, whether it's seeking to release, seeking to deepen into. This is what I'm calling in. It opens up. We can go into the clinical terms, the neuroscience terms. It
Yeah.
activates our like reticular activation system where we start noticing all of these opportunities or availabilities or offerings out there in the world and alignments. So the right people,
Yeah.
the right teachings, the right programs, all of this starts coming in, both to
Yeah.
give and receive.
I love, like, for instance, ayahuasca. I'm a big proponent of all plant
Mm.
medicines, and ayahuasca specifically. A lot of people are, it's becoming more and more known and popular.
Mhm.
And I've had a lot of friends over the years ask me, they get intrigued by it, and I have fear, but I don't know when the right time is. What do you think? And
Mhm.
my answer is
Mhm.
always, you do not need to worry about any of that. If you are curious about it and you're ready for it, she will let
Mhm.
you know. And it'll become
Mhm.
so abundantly clear that you're ready for it because she will keep coming into your field. And when I say she, is Mother Ayahuasca.
Yes.
She will let you know, and it'll be like, oh, this is obviously it's time to happen. That's how I
And
think it always
yeah,
occurs.
I agree with you. And plant medicine can be a very powerful journey for those who are ready for it. I
Mhm.
do think they do there does need to be very safe containers around that because for people
Absolutely.
who haven't maybe processed or gone through in a safe way, process really big traumas in their life or maybe big disturbances in their life, that medicine can be a bit too strong. Depends where
Mhm.
they are and what they're ready for and the container in which they're journeying with. There's so many different considerations for that, but I agree with you that it can be very powerful opening medicine, the speed of the downloads, the clarity of the downloads. But I also think that there needs to be a safe journey back. Like, how do we
Yeah.
integrate now these huge, incredible downloads and insights and breakthroughs that we had internally? How do we integrate that into our lives so it doesn't just all dissipate as we
Yeah.
move on from the ceremony? So I think there's so many different modalities. I think there's so many paths up the mountain that are authentic and meaningful to each person. But there also that kind of leads to where we're going. But I'm just going to circle back and finish off on the Living
Yep.
Legacy Summit.
Please.
The
Yeah.
reason why I started that really is because there are many wonderful containers where we can journey as adults on our own or in a collective or in a group. When I say journey, I'm not just talking about plant medicine. It's really that deeper journey of self-inquiry, self-reflection. How do I gain mastery and sovereignty and take radical accountability over my mind, over my emotions, over my energy, over my soul purpose? But I did not find the container where we can do that with our loved ones, meaning our families, our children, the next generation. So this can be our biological family, our soul family, our work family, any sort of definition of family. And that's
Mm.
why I created the Living Legacy Summit because it is for purpose driven leaders and their children. Or, it can also be across generations. It could be parents, three generations of the same family, however you define your definition of family. And that
Mm.
was the beauty of that. Imagine, Matt, was I did not have the privilege of growing up in a conscious family. So
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of this journeying I had to learn I had to unlearn a lot, deprogram a lot, and reprogram and recalibrate a lot as an adult. And now having
Yeah.
worked with people from early stage in life all the way to their 60s and 70s, it's a lot easier to turn the ship the earlier we start. It's never too late until we draw our last breath. It's never too late to start our journey to our journey home. I see it very much as a journey home to self and source, whatever is source means to
Absolutely.
people. And that is what I'm doing currently. But I'm also starting, since we last spoke, I was really excited to share with you more of what the evolution is, which is kind of the second half of what you shared in the intro of building in the very emerging early stages of building this AI empowered platform for transformative wellness. Because there is so much noise in the market. It's largely unregulated. It's so fragmented as a person going about life and going through transitions and coming across challenges, it's overwhelming. It's where do I start? What am I even ready for? I don't even know. Maybe we find a recommendation. Maybe we're hit with a Facebook ad. Like maybe we come across something that really resonates. But again, it's very inefficient. It's not
Yeah.
entirely, I don't want to say it's not safe, but the sector is very unregulated. So there does need to be, I do feel, because we're talking about people in vulnerable stages in their life who are, no matter how strong you are on the outside, no matter what we've achieved, when it comes to inner work, when it comes to looking at parts of our deeper self, there's so much vulnerability there. And I believe that everyone has the right to be held with safety, to be treated with dignity, with respect, with integrity. And that's
Yes.
what we're really seeking to do. So imagine like a highly curated Airbnb for transformative wellness, which is really solving a market need where we are, first of all, when people start on their inner work, it's where do I even start? And from my experience over 19 years, I've really seen people more or less fall into one of three categories, Matt. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and what you've experienced as well. But regulation would be one of the first categories where people are starting. So that's more self-soothing, emotional regulation, nervous system regulation for people who want to and are at the stage where they're ready for, you know what, I'm tired of just being in such a reactive state of life. I can see the impact and the damage and the negative impact that it's making on my relationships, on my job, on what I'm allowing and limiting myself to do in life and show up
You're
in
right.
how I'm showing up in life. So that's like really okay, calm the nervous system, emotional regulation. I
As a step one.
enabling step one, feel
Yeah.
safe first within yourself. That could be, there's a whole bunch of different modalities that are related to that. So the outcome is really reducing overwhelm, restoring baseline functioning, right? And smoothing that
So
out.
you're describing kind of how your platform is going to be organized.
Yes. So
Okay.
people would come on and I'm talking that this is very emerging stage, but based on the deep experience of the diagnostic building that I've already done with
Hmm.
Boundless Living Academy, this will be a pretty seamless process.
Got
So users would come on, basically fill out a survey, and it's non-clinical, so it's self-reporting a survey, and the software would basically sort them into these categories, the needs, and they would play matchmaker to a very tight-knit community of practitioners who are across all the different modalities who have been personally vetted by our company and by our
Amazing.
platform. So
Yeah.
this solves the trust issue. This solves the fragment, like where do I start issue. It's wow, okay, I've put in what my needs are. The software reads between and analyzes that very quickly and immediately
Yeah.
serves up,
Makes you
this
some
is what
recommendations.
your path, absolutely. This is what your pathway could look like. This is where it seems like you are. This is what your pathway could look like. Back to your
Okay.
highest capability, clarity, performance, vision, and how to amplify your impact. And so
Okay.
we're going back to the three kind of different I'll pause for a minute
Yeah.
and let you ask a question.
Yeah. So, that's what I was wanting to do next is go back to so the first phase is regulation, like personal nervous system regulation. And
Nervous
then
system,
what's
emotional system regulation. How do I feel safe with my own emotions? How do I feel safe with myself? How do I regulate my emotions so that anything from someone cutting me off in traffic to when I hear maybe it's my partner, or maybe it's a sibling, or maybe it's my kid, like how do
yeah.
I, or maybe it's a colleague or a friend of me, how do I not
Yeah.
have that
Frenemy.
knee-jerk reaction? How do I not have that knee-jerk reaction? How do I regain sovereignty over myself? So that's kind of regulation. And then
Okay.
inside, yeah,
I want to add
please.
one thing to that. And it's
Mm,
big. This is a bold statement. And
yeah,
it's not a clinical statement at all. It's
yeah,
speaking from my own experience, but even health issues, allergies, environmental inflammation in the body, like all of this is connected to your nervous system. And that should, obviously we're not making medical, statements here, but like all of that is included in that to me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a very whole human, holistic approach
Hmm.
where if you look at traditional allopathic Western medicine, it's quite reactive. There's more and more coming up in the longevity space that is a little, and functional medicine, which I'm a big, big believer in, which is more proactive, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. And it takes all the things that you were talking about, Matt, the it's those are just the symptoms. It's not just it's not just genetic. It's not just, of course, this is not from a clinical lens. It's from a very whole
Mhm.
human, holistic medicine, functional medicine lens,
Yeah.
where it is, what are the root causes? And a lot of that, stress is the number one root cause, disease, inflammation, which leads to, I'm a survivor of breast cancer as well. And there were no genetic markers. BRCA and even more of the panels came back negative. There was no, it was all stress related. It was all, and the body reaches a point where we can't dispel when we're so out of balance and we can't dispel the stress, which can be coming from any source, not just physical stress or work stress. It can be coming emotional stress, any source of stress. When we lose the ability to divest and release and it starts accumulating in our bodies, that's when we really start running into problems. And yes, I
Mhm.
completely agree with you. It manifests in, so it's disease. If you look at the word disease,
Yeah,
this
Jesse. Yeah.
disease within ourselves, within our body.
Right.
So that's it. That's when the physical manifestations come up, whether it's mental health or physical health. It's all related. So thank you for bringing that up. So
Yeah. So yeah.
regulation is great. It's a first start, but sometimes that's all. So for people who are that's all they have the capacity for, that's it's a little more passive and it's a little active in the way where we take a little bit of ownership, but that's what some people are ready for and that's totally fine. It's just the platform meets you where you are, just like whatever's
Mhm.
recommended meets you where you are. Level 2, and this is not level 2 or level 3 is more advanced and it's better than level 1, not at all. It's just wherever we are, this is where we are, and this is where we start. Level 2
Yeah.
is insight. So these are people who are ready for clarity, cognitive understanding, and awareness. For people who really want to understand, start understanding, okay, what's going on inside myself? Why is it having this impact, which is undesirable to me in my life or business? It's for people really to understand their patterns and their why behind their behaviors. So this is
Mhm.
maybe when they're ready for therapy and cognitive or mindset coaching or master classes and courses or books and podcasts and educational content, which is just expanding their awareness as well. So it's knowing yourself better, seeing the pattern so you can start to regain some agency and sovereignty in your life. And that's fine, but they're not necessarily ready. So level 3 is really transformation. I feel like this is where my real tribe is. This is
Yeah.
where we like roll up our sleeves and really get into the juicy work, which
Yeah.
does not, while we're working with heavy subjects, it does not have to be painful and lingering in the suffering and in the darkness. We can move, there's a way to move through this in a very joyful, in a very empowering, very life affirming way. So, this is identity level shifts and
Mhm.
behavioral integration. These are for people who are really ready to take radical accountability in their lives and reprogram patterns at the root cause. So, this is like deep integration, trauma resolution, somatic transformation. This goes way beyond breath work, way beyond energy work, way beyond meditation.
Yeah.
Could be conscious, it's consciousness based methodologies, immersive retreats, guided integration, in identity and purpose reinvention. So the outcome is really break the pattern, not just know the pattern, break the pattern, dissolve the pattern, recalibrate, really step into in a way that's meaningful and authentic to each person. What is my highest capability? What is my highest soul purpose? What's my highest vision? How do I amplify my impact in the world? How do I make lasting change within myself? So
Yeah.
that is, broadly speaking, the three categories, and then there's the matchmaking, of course, which is AI empowered and based on all the programs that we put in there. And then the intention and the mission is really to provide a really safe, beautifully efficient, fastest way to transformative well-being,
Mm.
whatever level people are ready for. And then we solve the practitioner issue on that end where phenomenal practitioners don't necessarily have the reach or the awareness in the market, but they do have incredible methodologies and they do have a deep desire to serve and support people along their path.
Yeah. Wow. So two things. One, I'm sold.
Mm. Great.
um, both
First
from
user,
a yeah, both from a
provider,
client
and the
perspective,
hmm
a user perspective, and
hmm
for a provider perspective. Because one of the things that really I think magnetized you and I together, and why I was so excited to support you in partner with you by having you on this podcast, is that you and I provide very similar. We approach the work with our clients in a very similar way. Um, and I, I'm putting myself behind anyone to help, succeed. Anyone like with the depth of authenticity and like the being of service that you are. So I very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
How is this going to work from a service provider? Or if I like, let's say I
Mm.
want to, be a part of the community. and
Yeah.
have the technology, partner me with suggest partnerships with current
Absolutely.
certain
Mhm.
users. How does that look from that perspective?
I aim to start with a tight collective of 100 providers across the different methodologies. So this is not the Costco, Walmart approach. This is a
Yeah.
highly curated, high integrity, the best of the people who are really walking their talk, which I believe you are, the best of every methodology and modality that's available
Mm.
out there. And there's a vetting process, obviously. So there'll be criteria across the different categories just to ensure high integrity. There's a personal interview, there's an experiencing of the modality, and
Mm.
there's an integration and onboarding process as well. So there's going to be different phases of the business, but I aim to launch with 100 providers, and we'll have whatever the highest amount of users who are also very integrated in the process as well. So there's
Mm.
a vetting and qualification process just to ensure quality, caliber, integrity, values alignment, and it's a deep process, but that's what I believe that we really need to step up. The market's a little crazy and a little too noisy right now. So I
Yeah.
do believe there does need to be some regulation, curation to ensure the safety of all. And when you're in the collective on the provider side, it's okay. Now I know I have this other platform and channel through which I can serve. And then people will be able to buy, users will be able to buy the whatever the provider wants to offer through the platform directly on the platform.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
very,
So, and
very seamless process.
I love this. And when you say, I just want to touch on this really quick
Hmm.
because the
Sure.
word, the regulation, I know that a lot of those of us in the spiritual consciousness journey, whatever you want to call it, wherever someone is on that, in their journey on that spectrum, I think most of us are working our way close deeper and deeper to levels of sovereignty, to not
Yes.
be regulated because we're operating so deeply from the heart, um, that regulation is not even needed because we're just being of service and taking care of each other. So what I want to touch on is,
Mm,
and I want to say this because those individuals that are listening to this podcast, because there's so much noise in the marketplace that you're
hmm.
talking about, it's not that some, government overlord agency needs to come and regulate. It's that those of us that are operating at those deep, deep levels from heart and authenticity of the
Yeah.
frequency of authenticity,
Yes.
it's time for us to dive in, to create, to, you know, use your voice, use your magic, share. This is how it's going to quiet a lot of the noise because the experience that everyone's going to have of the difference between the noise and what you're building here is going to be quite distinct, I believe.
Yes, I do think there'll always be noise in the market because the
Hmm.
market is so big, but
Hmm.
those who are drawn to high integrity, high caliber, from heart, from authenticity, values alignment, those of us who naturally seek, there's a reason why you can buy in every part of the market, every sector of the marketplace.
Yeah.
You can just like you can have, let's look at a handbag or you can have I I
Yeah.
don't know.
Right.
You can have a $20 handbag or you can have a $100,000 handbag. Which level are you committing in? What's authentic and meaningful for you? What's aligned with you? And for
Yeah.
many people, they buy the $100,000 handbag because maybe it's validation, maybe it's something else. For other people, they buy it because they genuinely love the quality, the craftsmanship, the journey it's a personal decision and what people have the awareness and capability for. We are closer to, while this is an all user access, it will be free for users to use because we want to provide as much accessibility as possible. But the
Hmm.
practitioners and the providers and the companies and the organizations who will gravitate naturally, like you, Matt, to this platform will be high caliber offerings because we
Mm-hmm.
want to stand in our highest integrity, which
Mm-hmm.
that is the positioning and that is where we are. This is the highest caliber offering at every level for whatever level that people are at right now,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's regulation, insight, or transformation. So I want to
God, I
go
love
back
this.
to what you brought up about regulation and sovereignty. So when
Yeah.
we're talking, no, there's not going to be like an FDA or an SEC, Securities Commission. I wish, although that brings up its own challenges. We're
Yeah.
not trying to create more bureaucracy. We're not saying, oh, are you in the in club? It's no. Are you, what is really, are you guiding from your highest level of authenticity from heart? But not only that, do you also have like, is there integrity in the offering? Is there
Mhm.
is there
Yeah.
is there integrity in the training that we've gone through? So not
Yeah.
just us journeying along on our own, but actually getting the certifications, getting the qualifications. For example, in transformative coaching or life coaching, executive coaching, there are a few recognized, say, International Coaching Federation, ICF, Coactive Institute. Those are very high caliber programs. I'm an
Mhm.
ICF, PCC, psychology based coaching certified practitioner myself, as well as a master life coach, NLP practitioner, all of these other things, not just to acquire the certifications and accolades, but really to put myself through the rigor and the understanding so that I had a completely rock solid framework that I was operating from. I'm not
Yeah.
saying those are the only acceptable, of course not. There's but there will be criteria in terms of where's the integrity in this offering? Where was the integrity in the practitioner's, I don't want to say certification process, but where's the integrity
Preparation.
in
Yeah.
how, yes, how have they got to where they are? So I hope that answers that question. That's
Yeah.
our
So,
attempt. Go ahead.
really quick, sorry. I just want
Yeah,
to touch
no,
on that
not at all.
really quick because what you're bringing up right now is, yes, a very important part of this. And it's also such a big part of the noise
Yes,
and that exists because like any of us, we scroll through our Instagram feed. And every time I do that, I see about three advertisements. One that says, come to my weekend course and learn how to be a shaman. Another one is come to my, 4-day event in Bali and learn how to unlock people's Kundalini. It's like, oh
right.
my God. And it's
Yeah,
just so, it's such a gut wrenching thing to see that because so many people are getting drawn into that and there's no integrity in that whatsoever.
yeah. I really
These
feel for that.
Yeah, and so when you talk about certifications, yes, there are reputable organizations out there that really take a lot of care and are coming from a place of integrity that's meaningful. But again, it's like what you said in the beginning. We're all walking each other home, and if somebody's
Yes.
attracted to, magnetized to a weekend course to learn how to be a shaman, that's
At
meant for them,
at the very, I think we
Yeah,
go with what at the level that we're at and ready for. So
I know.
at a minimum, do no harm, I think should be
Yeah,
even, it's
exactly.
almost like our own Hippocratic oath. We were not
I
going through med
know.
school, do no harm. And that really requires very high levels of self-awareness, very high levels of integrity, which is going to be
Mhm.
the unifying factor of anyone who comes in on the provider side of
Yeah.
this platform. So when you talked about regulation, no, unfortunately, if anything, they're especially in the US, they're cutting government agencies. So
Mhm.
this is hardly
Mhm.
going to get any attention, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I've seen this as a sign and a signal that I'm stepping up to do this and take the lead and build this is the market needs to self-regulate. So this
Uh-huh.
is what we're
Yes.
doing. This is market self-regulating. This is
Beautiful.
leaders in this community stepping up and saying, this is not serving anyone. Let's let's help this sector self-regulate. And this is just one. And I really feel a joining of hands, a call to join hands across borders, across ethnicities, across genders, across belief
Mhm.
systems, where
Mhm.
no one can do this alone. So we I really feel a call, and I really put out an invitation out there for people who do feel aligned in purpose, in values, in mission, to really join hands, to stop reinventing the wheel. That is so inefficient.
Yeah.
Instead of looking,
Right.
if you truly, truly look in the marketplace and you truly do not see something that maybe could be aligned, let's collaborate more. Let's co-create more. I am wide open to that
Yeah.
because too many silos, too much fragmentation right now. And this is really what I'm feeling called to do right now. So
Beautiful.
moving beyond solo practitioner, or single entity, single company practitioner and facilitator to something that's really going to unify the sector for the users and for the providers.
And really support each other. Like, this is a
Yes.
perfect example of what you're talking about. For instance,
Mm,
you and I provide what seemingly the same thing to the market, and coming from the same level of integrity and heart to me, it seems like. And I can't wait to support you because I just feel the depth of where you operate from, and I'm getting behind you. Like, this is a perfect example of that, and so I so appreciate you being on, having this conversation with me in this capacity on the podcast.
I so appreciate you being a leader in this space as well and, walking your talk and showing up with a very collaborative, co-creative, open mindset, open heart. This is an open spirit. This is so beautiful. I truly
Yeah.
believe this is the path forward for humanity. And I love
Mhm.
everything else that you're doing outside of transformative well-being as well, in terms of the property development and possibly building those conscious communities, which I'm highly encouraging and supporting you to do,
Yeah.
coming down there to Panama and checking it
Yes, I
out
cannot
and
wait for
seeing
your
what's
trip.
happening, to see what's happening there. So whatever sector, whatever path in life that people are walking, I believe that no change is too small. No step is too little to take to start. And
Mhm.
at the upper end and at the bigger end of all of that, I was having a conversation with a friend because we hit these different transitions and these different points in our lives where we're like, "Oh, okay, what I'm doing works, but actually I feel called for more, not more to accumulate more, but to create more. I actually
Mhm.
called to expand, to evolve, to keep growing, to keep contributing on even higher and higher and higher levels." And where that is I think so but we also hit fears, different fears at that point. Something that really helped me was having a chat with a friend, and they reminded me, if our goals don't scare us a little bit, or sometimes a lot, then maybe they're not big enough.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's like one of the things I say is life happens at or just outside your comfort zone.
Yes, love that.
Otherwise, like
Beautiful.
like the real memorable growth opportunities in life that are available, that's where they happen. They don't happen when you're in your comfort zone.
I completely agree with you, but that comfort zone is it can be very challenging and very scary for people to leave, and I have 2 analogies for that. Often we are in a prison or a cage of our own creation based on
Mhm.
our programming, our beliefs. The door is actually wide open, but many of us don't even know there's a door. We just think this is the container in which these are the limits within which I have to live because
Mhm.
these are my beliefs, these are my programs. I don't even know that there's a window. I don't even know that there's a door. So the first step is to really see there is a door, there is a window. And then the second step is really, you know what? That door is not locked or
Yeah.
it's actually
Right.
open.
Yeah.
And it's on me to walk through that door. But
Yeah.
so many people will spend their lives not walking through that door, which is open, and staying in the cage of our own creation. And that
Yeah.
is one of the biggest tragedies to me, that here is what is available to you, not just having to live in that little room, but really stepping up into the completely limitless universe of your own creation. And
Yeah. Yeah. It gives me chills to
me
think about
me
that. The
too, me too.
memory.
I think that's why we
Yeah.
do this work.
Yeah. Like, whether you want to call it a spiritual awakening or a conscious awakening, I remember mine like it was yesterday. And the way I articulate it is when I saw the outside of the box that I had been living my life in, calling reality. Boom. Like I've never been the same ever since. And then I just took my transformational journey and just this is what I spend most of my energy on now and have for 15
Beautiful.
years. And
Can
I'm
I ask
yeah,
you, Matt, what
yeah,
enabled you and what motivated you? Was this like intentional? Knowing you a little bit, I would have think it was
yeah.
intentional.
Yeah,
What
it was
triggered that?
intentional.
What enabled you to step into that?
So it was an ego driven decision. And just for people listening to this, ego, when I say ego driven, I mean the human ego, like we all have it. It's not a good or bad thing. It's a human ego. So it's not like uh, the context of when I speak about that. It was a human ego thing. So it was like I was living default life and I was being, somewhat successful in my commercial real estate brokerage business when I was young in the business. And I'm like, I got to a point where I said, man, I am so good at what I do and I work my butt off. Why don't I have more money in the bank? And so I had learned about several years before, I had learned about this leadership training course that a lot of people go to transform their life and money in the world of money and business and that. So I just registered for it. And what I discovered was that it was much more personal growth work in general. And the
Mhm,
result of my intention of going in to be able to make more money, be more successful in
mhm,
business,
mhm,
that
mhm.
did become a result of doing the interpersonal work. So the intention was it got achieved. What I
Yeah.
didn't know, what was in the way, was much more personal. And that's the world that you and I work in with people.
Yeah, I love that. So you went in for what you thought you wanted, and you were served what you needed.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah. How about you? What was your entry into the inner work, inner journey?
Mine was much less business and glamorous than yours. It was really from the outside, I it looked like honestly an incredible, perfect life. And on the inside, I felt like I was dying every single day. So I
Mm,
started making decisions that were definitely not aligned with my highest capability, my highest purpose,
mm,
my highest joy. And definitely, I feel like I definitely stepped out of integrity. So that sort of self-betrayal was and self-dishonoring was so brutal. The impact of that was
yeah.
so brutal on me. I burnt my marriage down to the ground, and it
Mm,
was a very misaligned situation anyway, so that I have no regrets on that we are no longer together, and I'm very grateful for the time that we were together and all the learnings and all the blessings that came out of that as well, including
mm,
my 2 incredible children who continue to teach me to this day. But I really started on that journey back in 2006, but that was through like traditional therapy and counseling and all of those things to try and get a more cognitive understanding because that was where I was at the time.
yeah.
And then wherein I had my big, big awakening and breakthrough was what I was fortunate enough to have the right guide who said the right words to me, who that broke everything wide open. That's when I had
Mm,
my huge breakthrough after I burnt my marriage to the ground. And that was the beginning. And my intention when I went into that when I went to Esalen, which is where it happened, was it was really what on earth is driving my patterns of behavior? Like, how did I
mhm.
burn Camelot to the ground? And you realize it wasn't Camelot at all because that was never what I wanted.
Right.
That was never authentic or meaningful to me. And that's why I
Uh,
burnt it down because my
yeah.
soul was calling for something so much more. And I had, you know, all of these unhealed wounds and all of this trauma to process and so much to work through, so much to deprogram. And that was kind of the beginning. I do very much see this as a lifelong journey. I would never ever look at this process as one and done, or when I get done with this heavy, boring inner work, then I can live my
Mm,
life. No, I'm living my life as we go through this. And I think there's so many different levels of mastery. It's a continuous process, and it's actually very joyful to learn how to navigate all this with with lightness, with joy, with, embodiment at every stage of the process, and looking at it just feels
Yeah,
more and more coming home to
it
true self.
does.
Yeah.
It's like it is a never ending journey. It's what we're here for, having a human experience. And the deeper you go with the work, and when I say work, and when you're talking about that, like the deeper you get to know yourself, this is all that's happening. Then the deeper, the higher levels of joy and bliss and love that you start to get connected to and embody. And it's just, and the higher levels of energy that you have. And it's like
Yes.
once you start to get like experience that that's the result of doing getting to know yourself better. That's all you want to ever want to do, because it's like, why the hell would I do anything else? you know.
So true, Matt. I completely
Yeah,
agree.
and then you get to the point where you and I are, and many others that will be magnetized to your new platform that you're creating, which is, oh my god, I am enjoying life so much that I have to share this. Like, oh my god,
Yes,
I found the golden
so
ticket.
beautiful. Yes. It's almost like a cup that's overflowing, and
Yeah.
knowing that not it's really shifting that whole it's not just mindset, it's like whole embodying from
Mhm.
being moving from scarcity and lack and fear, because a lot of people can get to a place of immense financial success driven by lack and scarcity and fear. Does it
Yeah.
feel good? No. Does the fulfillment last? No. Is the connection there? No. Because it's almost like it's coming from misaligned or corrupted fuel. But when that fuel
Right.
changes to love and abundance, all of these beautiful concepts that you're talking about and the beautiful embodiment that you're talking about, that everything shifts when we start embodying that, when we start clearing out those old programs, that old energy, the old belief systems, we start moving through things and amplifying things and magnetizing things at almost quantum speed.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
literally, I'm a big believer in l- a whole new pathway can open up in the next minute of your life.
Yeah.
That's how
So
powerful this
beautiful.
work is. And of course, all the physical health benefits, longevity, energy, all of those things. So not
Yeah.
just like woo-woo stuff, but actual things that you can feel, touch, hear, and see in present day life.
Yeah. So before I forget to ask the question,
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about the new platform you're creating.
Hmm.
I want to
Hmm.
know where are you at in the stage of creation of that, and then how maybe you're not ready yet to like say here's the app or the website, but where are you at in the stage of building it?
Really, we are in the first there's going to be an initial, very quick sort of 3 to 6 month stage where it's like market validation, pathway to market, all of
Okay.
the backbone building
Yep.
and collect it. And then already within that 6 months, I would be ramping up, like basically assembling the user database for that, building the
Yeah.
actual MVP of that, and collecting, also aggregating, starting to really reach because over 19 so in the 19 years of journey, I was
Yeah.
also 25 years of experience building in MNCs,
Mm.
SMEs, and strategic business consulting, building and rolling out products worldwide. So this is kind of a beautiful dovetailing and integration of the different sort of the business building and the spiritual side and the well-being
Yeah.
side of myself. So where we are is we are probably 6 months out from beta testing.
Okay.
So that's where I would love to that's where what I can share right now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So in the
I
meantime, then,
yeah,
like
mhm,
myself and others that are really drawn to want
yeah,
to at least go through the interview process of being involved in this, that's when maybe you're looking over the next few months to get, start building
absolutely.
building your
Yeah.
community.
Oh,
So
yes.
we'll put links when we post
Yeah.
this. We'll put links to like your
Yes,
your
absolutely.
whatever social
I'll
media.
share the yeah, I'll
Yeah.
share the email where people who, whether provider or potential user for the platform, they can register. There'll be two different links. There'll be one for
Okay.
providers and one for users to be put on the wait list to be first to know so that they can be one of the beta testers for the in
Amazing.
terms of the users. And then the providers, yes, I'm aiming to fill that 100 very, very rapidly because I do have people that I already know and I work with, and then new people as well, new friends as well, and through trusted sources. Everyone will go through the qualification process just to have it evenly, just so we have all the data for the platform as well. So that will
Okay.
be as seamless as possible. But honestly, this is very service from the heart, serving the users, serving the providers, unifying the platform, cutting down the noise, putting some form of safety regulation, and customized matchmaking. So matching need to provider services.
Mhm.
That's what we're headed at. And I'm so excited for this new journey. But in the meantime, I do have I will keep a very limited amount of slots for the one-on-one leadership programs, and for the Living Legacy Summit is something I would love to see. Its annual event, basically, where families, conscious leaders and their families can continue to gather. Because I've found from personal experience, and I believe you think this too, Matt, when we gather live with values aligned, with a global peer group of values aligned, heart aligned, purpose aligned peers, our vision elevates, our
Mhm.
speed and
Mhm.
impact escalates in the best possible way. Our heart opens even more. Like every part of
Yeah.
from our vision, from our goals, from our perspectives, every part is elevated. And I think
Mhm.
that's really important because we are living in a world where the majority is not like this. It's not yet at this stage where we're
Yeah.
hoping the world can evolve into. So I think it's never been more important in such a time of chaos and change and speed of change, which is creating so much fear and chaos in people's lives right now. There's
Yeah.
never been more important times to gather as a collective in channels
So
and platforms and avenues that really resonate with people. So I'd
yeah.
love to see you and as
Yeah.
many
Well,
people who feel called to this as
yeah.
well next August.
Yeah. So tell us
Yeah.
whether somebody wants to know, connect with you for one-on-one or a group container
Mhm.
for you personally, and then also like how to contact you, and then also is there if there's a
Absolutely.
website or something for the summit?
Yep. They can find all of that on our website, which is just boundlesslivingacademy.com. There's different pages for the summit, for the one-on-one and teens work, and for the diagnostics as well. So all of that is on the website. The summit is by application only because we want to make sure, just like on the platform, we want to make
Yeah.
sure that people who show up there, it's a very intimate, safe container for everyone, for them, their parents, their children, whoever they're bringing, their work family, their soul family.
Yeah.
It's a high integrity container, and it is all values aligned leaders.
Beautiful.
So thank you for that, Matt. So beautiful
Absolutely.
talking with you today.
You too. I do have one last question to wrap this.
Absolutely.
It's a
Yeah.
tradition on my podcast is I
Mhm.
would love to know what your superpower is. What is that thing that you are incredible at that people may or may not know about you?
It's a little bit nerdy. I've always been what I do think my secret superpower is, which might not be apparent, like immediately apparent to people because we're not just one thing, but
Yeah.
where I really find my passion and joy doing as well is really being kind of a systems architect and creator in that, seeing it's like making the force. So my superpower, to paraphrase, would be making the force out of the tree. So seeing lots
Mm,
of chaos and disparate data points and lots of information flooding in and being, God, this is crazy, but this is the path forward.
wow.
Here's how we can make sense of this. And I guess related to that, kind of it flows. This is a bit long-winded answer, sorry. So
You're good.
a systems architect, like a creator and a catalyst of progress, of growth, of change.
So
That is
exactly
that
what
is
you're
my
building with
superpower.
this. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly what you're
Very
building with
integrating.
this. Oh my God. How aligned is this? It's amazing. I can't wait to
Very,
watch
very,
this
very.
journey. and be
I
involved.
can't wait to share with you. Thank you for having me on here. I love chatting with you, and I'm so
Same.
excited to see where this goes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and definitely more to come. And we're going to do this again in, 6, however many months it
I love
takes for
it.
you to go.
Building in public. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Matt.
much.
Take care.
Okay.
Speak soon. Bye.
Bye. That's a wrap on the Alchemist Archive. If you feel inspired, don't waste that. Go create something extraordinary.